I'm a 35-year-old man, and I'm navigating some rough waters, folks. That's why I've decided to come here and pour my heart out. I'm in the midst of a divorce with my wife, Laura. We've been hitched for 6 years. 6 lengthy years. After more than half a decade of togetherness, I learned that she was betraying me with all my friends. Yeah. I was so mad at myself for believing that she was just a sociable person who got along well with my friends. Who knew she was bonding over something else entirely? As I penned this, I'm consumed by a mix of fury and sadness. So please forgive me if I just vent about my unfortunate life. Laura and I have been wedded for 6 years, and I thought we were a content couple. I cherished her deeply with every fiber of my being. After all, she was the most incredible woman I had ever encountered. Laura and I crossed paths at a guitar class. She was one of those girls who attracted a lot of male attention due to her attractiveness. Needless to say, I was one of her admirers too, but being an introvert, I never mustered the courage to ask her out. If Laura hadn't taken the initiative to approach me first, my life would have taken a different turn. I was adept at strumming the guitar while she was just dipping her toes into the world of music. I can still recall the day Laura first reached out to me. I was engrossed in practicing some new chords when someone tapped me on the shoulder. "Hey, John. It's Laura," she said. She was struggling with her music lessons and sought my assistance. That marked the start of a 2-year courtship and a 6-year marriage. Both of us were employed during our dating. I was employed in a corporate firm, so I didn't foresee any financial hurdles with Laura's decision. My income was sufficient to support a comfortable lifestyle for the two of us. Little did I know that I was merely a cash machine to her. Laura had a penchant for high-end clothing, exquisite perfumes and the like. As a dutiful husband, I catered to all her desires. Laura is a sociable and outgoing individual. She has a knack for making friends quickly, whereas I find it challenging to forge friendships easily. Honestly, I admired her for her affability and her ability to bond so effortlessly with all my friends, while I was still grappling to feel at ease with hers. I would have remained oblivious to the truth or even harbored any suspicion if I hadn't stumbled upon those distasteful exchanges between her and my friends. About a month ago, my laptop hit a snag and crashed in the middle of a crucial task. So I decided to use Laura's laptop to wrap up my work. Laura wasn't home at the time, and her laptop was password protected. I tried reaching out to her for the password, but she didn't pick up. She was out shopping with her friends, or so she told me. So I started trying out various combinations of letters and numbers to crack the password. After several attempts using our anniversary date and combinations of our names, I finally managed to unlock the laptop using her birth date. Clearly, she's quite self-obsessed. Once I logged in, I noticed that the browsers were still open, but I didn't pay much attention to the minimized windows. I was solely focused on my task. However, while I was engrossed in my work, I noticed several notifications popping up on one of the tabs. It was WhatsApp. She had left her WhatsApp logged in on her laptop. After I finished my work and was about to shut down the laptop, a little voice inside me urged me to click on WhatsApp tab, which had been minimized until then. For a moment, I felt a bit uneasy about snooping through my wife's WhatsApp conversations. But I was still contemplating whether to take a quick look at her messages or not. I noticed a flurry of notifications indicating an ongoing conversation. This piqued my curiosity because while she wasn't answering my calls, she was actively chatting with someone on WhatsApp. So with a bit of hesitation, I clicked on the WhatsApp tab. That's when I was hit with a revelation that turned my world upside down. As I opened the WhatsApp window, I saw that she was online and engaged in a conversation. From the initial exchanges, it seemed like she had just left the person she was chatting with and they were already missing each other. Intrigued, I clicked on the profile picture and was taken aback. It was my friend, Tony. I was dumbfounded. Was Laura having an affair with Tony? As I scrolled through their conversation, I was plunged into the dark reality of Laura's secret life. I found myself immersed in my wife's flirtatious chats with her lover, leaving me grappling with a deep sense of betrayal and shattered trust. But the truth was even worse. Laura wasn't just cheating on me with Tony. She had flings and one-night stands with several of my friends. I was shaking with rage and disbelief. How could I have been so oblivious? I went into autopilot mode and quickly printed out all the chat conversation she had with her lovers. I was at a loss for how to approach her about this. In our 6 years of marriage, we'd hardly ever had a disagreement. She was so charming that I never found it in me to refuse her anything. She wasn't wrong when she referred to me as a puppet in one of her chats with her lover. My world had revolved around her, and now it was shattering into pieces after seeing those explicit messages and compromising photos. So I monitored her WhatsApp messages and discovered that after leaving her lover's place, she'd messaged a friend to go shopping. Part of me wanted to flee to hide away and never have to see her again. But another part of me needed to know the truth. I needed to understand why she'd betrayed me despite everything I'd done for her. I was seething with anger. My head was pounding, and I could feel the grief settling in my stomach. When she got home, I threw the printouts of their conversations at her. I couldn't think of a better way to confront her. She was taken aback for a moment, caught off guard by her exposure. If she were anyone else, she might have shown remorse for her actions and begged for mercy and forgiveness. But this was Laura. She was a woman who felt entitled, who believed she ruled the world. Instead of feeling guilty for her actions, she slipped into her narcissistic persona and accused me of spying. I was taken aback. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut, a punch I wanted to return with full force. She spat out, "How dare you invade my privacy by logging into my laptop and reading my messages? Seriously? How dare I?" I was livid. For the first time, I raised my voice at her, demanding an explanation for her betrayal. She kept insisting it was just for fun. Fun? Is it fun to sleep with half a dozen men I know? I told her straight up that I couldn't live with her anymore and that I was going to divorce her. That's when the color drained from her face at the mention of divorce. Up until then, she'd been fighting back, confident that she could escape the consequences of her actions. Well, guess what? Reality hit her hard when I told her to pack her things and get out. She probably never thought I'd have the guts to do that. She knew how deeply in love with her I was, how hard it would be for me to let her go, but I told her to leave the house immediately. She tried to hug me to calm me down, but I pushed her away. That's when she fell to her knees, begging for forgiveness, claiming it was a one-time mistake. If it had been a one-time mistake, maybe I could have forgiven her, but it wasn't a one-off. It was a calculated, premeditated betrayal, more than a dozen times, more than a baker's dozen of deceit and treachery. I felt utterly humiliated. She had been with my friends, all the while making a mockery of my gentle, loving nature. She even told them that I wasn't exciting or daring enough, implying that she was seeking those qualities in them. I was repulsed. The memory of those conversations where she ridiculed my love and care still haunts me. I can't shake the images from my mind. I left the house and sought solace with my closest friend Mark. Thankfully, he wasn't one of Laura's conquests, or I would have been completely stated with no one to confide in. I poured out my heart to him, sobbing like a child. After listening to my whole story, Mark suggested that this might have started 2 years ago, at a school reunion. He said that our old school friends were captivated by Laura's beauty and charm. He even recalled Tony, the same guy Laura was with that day, saying he'd feel blessed to have just one private moment with Laura. I was furious with Mark for not telling me about this sooner. Mark defended himself, saying he didn't take those comments seriously and dismissed them as typical guy talk. It's not uncommon for guys to make such comments about their friend's attractive wife, but they usually don't mean it. As I was discussing all this with Mark, my phone was being bombarded with messages and calls from Laura pleading for forgiveness. In a fit of anger, I called her back and demanded, "When did all this start?" She was sobbing on the other end, and I kept repeating my question. When the hell did all this begin? Was it at the school reunion? Oh, Mark was right. It all started at that reunion. That's where we all exchanged contacts. And that's how Laura got in touch with my old school friends. She confessed that it began with innocent social media chats, which gradually turned into flirtatious exchanges. One thing led to another, and she cheated. It started as a one-time thing, but she got a thrill out of it and continued to betray me. She admitted to having physical relationships with at least 6 of my friends and several other men. I spent the next week at Mark's place, getting tested for STDs and hiring a lawyer. I sent the divorce papers to Laura through my lawyer, along with an official notice to vacate my house. I never want to see her face again. It's been a month since that dreadful day, and I'm still struggling to come to terms with the fact that she's been cheating on me for the past 2 years. I was such an idiot for never questioning her motives. I just want this agony to end so I can move forward with my life. I feel lost and aimless. I've been isolating myself from everyone for the past month, burying myself in video games. I've been calling in sick to work most of the month, working from home when I can. I don't want to see anyone. I'm writing this out just to vent my heart, hoping it might bring some relief. Update. My divorce is set to be finalized next week, and I'm feeling a sense of relief to finally be free from the grip of my soon-to-be ex-wife. After I left our home and stayed at Mark's place for a week, Laura continued to stay in our house. She resisted the divorce, insisting that I should take her affairs lightly and that they meant nothing to her. Well, guess what? They meant a lot to me. She didn't leave the house until my lawyer sent her an official eviction notice. Until then, she was hopeful that once my anger subsided, my love for her would take over, and I'd return to her. After receiving the notice, she bombarded my phone with messages and voicemails, begging for forgiveness and a fresh start. When I ignored all her pleas, she became defensive. She accused me of being emotionally distant and lacking in adventure. If there's a global award for narcissism, I'm not sure. But I bet Laura would be a top contender. She's the most wicked woman I've ever encountered. I don't know what I was thinking when I fell for her. I had to block her everywhere because she was hindering my healing process. I don't know how many weeks I spent sobbing and cursing my luck on my couch. Despite the court proceedings, Laura was unwilling to accept the divorce. Of course, she didn't want to lose her personal cash machine. She begged for reconciliation, but I was firm on divorcing her. She didn't just betray me. She humiliated me. She ridiculed my love and care, and that's something I can't forgive. She claimed to share in my house because we were together for 6 years. As if that wasn't enough, she demanded a hefty alimony for the divorce, asserting that ours was an open marriage. She painted me as the one who had initially suggested an open marriage, and then when my insecurities got the better of me, I wanted to divorce her. What nonsense. I've never been a proponent of open marriages. She even accused me of having an affair with my coworkers. Of course, she couldn't substantiate her groundless accusations, and the court dismissed her demands. If anyone deserves compensation, it's me. Indeed, my lawyers even asked if I wanted to claim any damages, but I refused. I know she's unemployed and her parents would have to foot the bill. I don't want to punish them for their daughter's wrongdoings. So after months of emotional turmoil and numerous meltdowns, I'm relieved that it's all coming to an end in a few days. I just got off the phone with my lawyer, who informed me that the court is set to finalize our divorce next week, and I could feel a weight lifting off my chest. I'm eager to move forward with my life and focus on my career. I'm planning to resume my guitar lessons. I can't even recall the last time I strummed my guitar. It must have been years ago. I was so engrossed in my job to sustain and cater to Laura's lavish lifestyle that I forgot to live for myself. Thanks for your support. I'll keep you guys posted. Update number 2. Hey, folks. It's been half a year since my last update. As I mentioned in my previous post, I finally managed to break free from my narcissistic ex-wife. Today marks exactly 1 year since my initial post where I poured out my heart to you all. Oh, boy, lamenting over my disloyal spouse. This update will be a bit more concise. Even though the wounds and reminders of the trauma are still present, I'm in a much healthier state now. Shortly after my divorce was finalized, I returned to my guitar lessons. I also pursued some certification courses, which led to a promotion at work this fiscal year. Despite the divorce, Laura kept trying to reach out using unknown numbers and landlines, sometimes begging for me to take her back, sometimes threatening me with severe repercussions for leaving her, and sometimes blaming me for her miserable existence. In the meantime, I saw Laura in my friends' Instagram stories, partying and dancing with them. So I blocked all the friends she had been unfaithful with. Who knows what she's up to now? I haven't dated anyone since. I feel like I'm not prepared to let someone else into my heart yet. A few weeks ago, my best friend Mark arranged a date for me with his coworker Molly. This was the third time he had tried to set me up with someone after my divorce. His first 2 attempts were unsuccessful because I didn't show up. For his third attempt, Mark didn't take any chances. He picked me up from work and dropped me off at the cafe where I was supposed to meet Molly. There was no way I could bail even though nothing came of that encounter. It was nice to have a meaningful conversation after such a long time. Molly was a lovely person, but not someone I could envision as a romantic interest. However, this encounter did ignite a spark in me to give myself another shot at love. I'm considering downloading some dating apps to see what's out there. What do you all think? Update number 3. Hi, folks. Thanks for all the advice on dating apps. I gave a few of them a shot and connected with some fantastic women, but nothing progressed beyond a couple of coffee dates. But hold on to your coffee cups, because I have an intriguing update for you. A year ago, when my in-laws found out about our divorce, they both called me to apologize for their daughter's appalling behavior. My father-in-law chastised my mother-in-law for spoiling Laura to the point where she felt she could do whatever she pleased. Laura's younger sister, Sarah, also expressed her apologies for Laura's narcissistic actions. Over the past year, Sarah has been regularly checking in on me, offering support and encouragement as I navigate this new chapter of my life. Interestingly, Sarah herself has been a victim of Laura's cruelty, something I was unaware of until recently. Sarah is 2 years younger than Laura, but she's far more mature and understanding. She shared with me the backstory of Laura's entitled behavior. Laura was treated like a miracle child because she was born after several miscarriages, which led to her parents spoiling her rotten. Actually, Laura would often taunt Sarah, claiming that their parents only had her because Laura wanted a playmate. Laura treated Sarah like a plaything, so they were never close as sisters. I find a sense of tranquility and empathy when I talk to Sarah. She understands my hurt and my quiet moments. Aside from Mark, Sarah has also been a driving force in encouraging me to get out there and give love another shot. I believe her intentions are pure, and she genuinely wants the best for me. Lately, I've been finding her company quite enjoyable. During my 6-year marriage to Laura, I only met Sarah a handful of times at family gatherings, and our interactions were always formal and brief. Even in the past year, our communication has been mostly through text messages. However, we met up for lunch last week. It was our first face-to-face meeting since my divorce, and I was struck by her humility and kindness. I felt genuinely happy in her presence. I'm not sure where this is heading, but I can't shake the fluttery feelings I've been having since our lunch. I talked to Mark about this and he advised me to keep my distance from Sarah to avoid any potential complications with Laura in the future. Taking Mark's advice to heart, I've been avoiding Sarah for the past day, but it's not sitting well with me. I find myself longing to chat with her. I'm not sure when Sarah became such a significant part of my life, but now that I'm not talking to her, I feel a void. Do any of you have advice for me? What should my next move be? Should I continue to steer clear of Sarah as Mark suggested? Or should I just go with the flow and see where things lead? Update number 4. Hi, everyone. I know it's been a while, a whole year, in fact. A lot has transpired in the past year. Let me pick up from where I left off in my last post. After giving Sarah the silent treatment for a couple of days, I felt an emptiness inside. I realized that I was developing feelings for her. So I decided to face her head-on. To clear the air, I invited her to a casual lunch the following day. I expected her to be upset with me for ignoring her for 2 days. A reaction I was accustomed to because of Laura. But to my surprise, Sarah wasn't angry at all. Instead, she was worried about my well-being when I didn't respond. Her compassion took me aback. I confessed my feelings to her right then and there. I'm not sure where I found the bravery to bare my soul. Perhaps it was because I felt so at ease with Sarah. After hearing me out, Sarah confessed that she felt the same way. However, she also suggested that this might just be a phase, that I might be seeing her as a lifeline, and she was simply being a supportive friend. Her honesty and maturity struck a chord with me. Instantly, I decided to put these feelings on the back burner and give the dating app another shot just to meet other women. But I have to say, the peace and comfort I found in Sarah, I didn't find with anyone else. She also started going out with her coworkers to help me move on. But it seemed like we both were caught in the web of our mutual feelings. After a month of this experiment, we decided to stop seeing other people. And instead, invest our time in getting to know each other better. Yes. We finally started interacting as potential partners. I've never felt such happiness and contentment, not even when I was with Laura. After 2 years of getting to know each other and officially dating for a year, we decided to tie the knot. However, our journey to marriage wasn't a walk in the park. We had to confront the elephant in the room, Laura. We were well aware of the repercussions of our decision and knew that Laura would create a storm when she heard the news. Through mutual friends, I learned that Laura had moved on and was dating other people. Sarah rarely brought up Laura, except for a few initial conversations where she shared about her challenging childhood with Laura. Sarah broke the news to her parents about us. And understandably, they were taken aback. Of course, they warned Sarah about the potential backlash from Laura. Things unfolded exactly as we had predicted. Laura unleashed a storm. She accused Sarah of betraying her by getting involved with her quote, brother-in-law. Really? Brother-in-law. She reached out to me from a landline, hurling insults and accusing me of trying to infiltrate her family. And turned Sarah and her parents against her. She threatened to involve the police and have me arrested for allegedly manipulating her sister. She vowed to make our lives miserable if we went ahead with our marriage plans. At first, her words scared me, but when she blamed Sarah for ruining her life, I lost my cool. How can someone be so self-absorbed? She was the one who wrecked her own life and mine. Sarah was the one who supported me during my darkest times, and now when things are starting to look up for us, she's playing the victim. Laura's outburst only strengthened my resolve to marry Sarah. We both want to get married and put all of this behind us. And Laura's been using her parents as her last line of defense to try and stop the wedding. She's pressuring them to cut ties with Sarah if she marries me. She's accusing me of manipulating Sarah against her. She's told her parents that my feelings for Sarah aren't genuine. She believes I'm only marrying Sarah to spite her. She's convinced that I'm still in love with her and incapable of loving anyone else. Well, she's partially correct. 2 years ago, I couldn't have envisioned myself in love with anyone but Laura. I loved and trusted her with all my heart. But now things have changed. I'm in love with Sarah. This second love is more mature and is built on a foundation of mutual respect, unlike the first one. Laura has made our lives a nightmare in the past month since she found out about our relationship. She's pulling out all the stops to prevent our wedding. She's emotionally manipulating her parents to pressure Sarah to call off the wedding. Her parents know me well, so they haven't said anything to me. However, they've been gently suggesting to Sarah that she rethink her decision. I believe Laura's parents are also to blame for Laura's sense of entitlement. They should have stood by Sarah and put Laura in her place. Regardless, the wedding is set for this upcoming Sunday, and I'm fairly certain that Laura is going to cause a scene at the venue. She's threatened to trash the place, even going as far as to say she'll set it on fire. Yeah. You heard that right. I've arranged for extra security for Sarah's sake. I've provided them with Laura's photos and instructed the security team to be on high alert for her. My folks reached out to Sarah's parents urging them to rein in Laura. But that girl is a law unto herself. I'm not sure what's in store, but I'm eager to embark on this new journey with Sarah. Final update. Hey there, everyone. Just a quick update. We've been married for a week now. The wedding was like the climax of a dramatic TV series. As anticipated, Laura crashed the wedding. She managed to sneak into Sarah's room with a pair of scissors intending to ruin her wedding gown. Luckily, a few of Sarah's friends caught her in the act and chased her out of the room. Remember, running with scissors is never a good idea. Before anyone else could spot her, she wreaked havoc at the wedding venue, tearing down the floral arrangements and splashing water on the food. She was giving the security team a hard time and was completely out of control. So my dad called the police to prevent any further damage. Her parents begged the police to let her go, so they escorted her home and didn't attend the wedding. Sarah was saddened by her parents' absence at the wedding, but my dad stepped in and walked her down the aisle. It's been a week since we've been together as a married couple, and I feel like we're truly meant for each other given everything we've been through. Please wish me luck in the future, but it's over.